Hey, it's Chapman Hamborg. Welcome to week 7 of the Summer Art Challenge. I hope you guys are continuing to enjoy this challenge and the prompts. For this week's lesson, we're going to do a Sorolla Master Copy. So, we're going to talk about the importance of master copy paintings, and I'm going to share a little bit with you about Joaquin Sorolla, a late 19th, early 20th century painter. And we're going to do this study of one of his paintings and talk about how, creating master copies and looking to other artists can be really beneficial for your art, for your craft as an artist, to draw inspiration from artists that have come before you. And there's a long tradition with that. If you look at artists throughout time, they would do that. They would study masters that came before them, and that would help push them forward, kind of standing on the shoulders of the previous generation before you. So I hope you enjoy this lesson, and thanks so much for being here. Okay, so with our lesson today, we're going to be doing a master copy of Joaquin Sorolla's work, and I just wanted to introduce you to his work first. He was a Spanish painter in the late 19th and early 20th century, and he's known for these incredible paintings of people on the beach, is probably his most well-known work. He's known as the painter of light, and you can see he's influenced by Impressionism, but he had more of like an academic training, and there's just this incredible use of color in his work and brush strokes. The paintings just feel so vivid and alive, and just he's one of my favorite painters. And these epic scenes, and he would paint these from life. So some of his paintings are huge, and he would set up on the beach with these huge canvases. And look at this epic scene. We have the sailboats coming in, the family, the ocean, the water. It's just really incredible. So he would do these color studies as well on the beach. So you can see this is like a smaller painting, and it's looser and quicker, and he would use these studies as reference for his larger paintings. So you can see here kind of the connection between this painting and perhaps this one. So perhaps he painted this painting from this, or maybe it was just kind of like this was him getting started, and then he went into this larger painting with more of an idea, like with more of a clear concept. And here's another one of his studies where you can maybe see a connection to this as well. And he has so many paintings of sailboats like this. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a copy of this painting, and we're going to do like a fast master copy. So a master copy is when you are copying one of the great masters of the past, and you do a quick painting, or you can have different goals for different master paintings. So your goal may be to like copy exactly how it is. And I'm going to try to go a little fast and just get some of these color notes and the big shapes. And when you do a master copy, you can learn so much. And maybe you have different goals, like I said, like maybe you're trying to learn how the color theory and the color, maybe it's the composition, maybe it's the brush strokes or the painterly aspect where there's vivid strokes and the lost and found edges. So you can kind of study all of it or have more of a specific goal. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to kind of lead you through this little process, and hopefully it will encourage you to continue to create master copies on your own. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start by just sketching out the dimensions of the study I want to do. I could do a height to width measurement, so I can measure the height of my canvas and see how many times that comes into my height. So it's just under the height equaling 2 widths. So I can kind of check that on mine. So yeah, I don't have mine long enough yet. You could like measure it with a ruler or get, another thing I could do is just copy these exact measurements. That's always nice when you have it printed, if you just do the exact same measurements, because then you can take measurements of things and just bring it over. I might actually do that just for the sake of demonstrating. So if I just do these exact same measurements, I can kind of get there faster. And there's like no shame in that, because my goal for this exercise isn't to like really focus on the drawing, but to kind of just do a faster study and not struggle with like the shapes in the drawing and the proportions, but to focus more on the colors. So now I can get the height. Okay. Then I can just double check this height. It might be nice to even get a ruler out and just help me get some clean straights. This is the only ruler I have right now that I can find. I don't think that last edge is straight. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so I have my measurements, and now I can start to kind of break it up. So the horizon is just below half. So if I look, my halfway point from the bottom to the top is, so I can kind of measure my halfway point. So that's like the halfway, and then you can see the horizon is actually a bit below that. So something like this is the horizon. Yeah, it's just like just below the horizon, maybe even, yeah, a little bit closer to that halfway point. Okay, I don't want to get too caught up in being a perfectionist. Okay, first thing I want to do is get this big shape of the sail in. So there's like this C curve happening, and it comes almost to here, almost to the edge there. And then I can even do like a measurement here to kind of help me place how far it comes over here. And then there's kind of this triangular shape. This is created with an S curve shape. So in art, we always are looking for C curves, like this, and then S curves. So there's this S curve, that's Here we have like a C curve kind of breaking up this shape, and then another C curve going like this. So I might need to make changes to this. This is just at least my starting point. So we have all these people. Here could be like about the sand, something like this. And then there's the mast coming down from this. Let's kind of check the halfway. That's like, I think that might be at the halfway point from the left to right. So it's just slightly to the right. So I'm going to find my halfway point. And then I know that this mast should just be just to the right of it, which means I need to move it a bit. Because this is kind of going like this. And then there's the sailboat. Kind of shape here. There's this sailboat coming to the right of this one, kind of like this triangular shape. Looks like a shark fin almost. I feel like this needs to come closer. Then there's the shadow kind of being cast. Looks like the sun is coming from this direction, so this must be another boat on the sand, or who knows, maybe like a house or building. Something's casting a shadow onto the sand over here, which is nice because notice how this help kind of leads your eye pointing in towards the subject. And then there's these people kind of just all grouped in as a bunch of colors. I'm assuming it's people kind of boarding up or hauling things off, but it's just incredible to me because it's so simple and just like blotches of color, but it creates this just stunning piece. I honestly prefer these like looser studies than like finished paintings often. And I'm trying to push my personal work this direction. So that's another thing to talk about is like, so when you do master copies, you can find artists that have something that you want to have in your own work and pull from as a source of inspiration. So you do these studies and it helps you get in their head, and then like kind of you have that in your tool belt when you create your own paintings. And not that you're going to copy them exactly how they are, but it will just kind of be a source of inspiration. So like here's a painting I did of a sailboat. And of course, like I have my own style and it's not a direct copy or anything like that, but you can just see how like just by studying Sorolla, it helped me interpret the photo in a looser way and kind of popping colors and such. And, you know, even how I interpreted this reflection of the cell into the water, I kind of had in the back of my mind some of Sorolla's paintings I've seen in the past. So this is just kind of showing how it's caused a connection for me. And I'm not only looking at Sorolla, I'm looking at so many artists, and I recommend you do that too. And it's funny, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to just copy another artist, but like, it's so funny because like when you learn to play an instrument, you're not like instantly like, oh, I have to write my own songs and create from like what's within. It's like, no, like obviously you're gonna you're gonna learn the skills, learn music, but one of the biggest ways to learn is by doing, learning other musicians' songs, and over time you will perhaps, create your own work, but that takes a lot of time. And it's the same with art. But for some reason in our culture, people want to just like be an amazing artist right from the get-go, or have this pressure that they put on themselves to just to be that way, and not take the time to study artists from the past and slowly develop their craft and style and skills. Anyways, that's going to be enough for my sketch. And now I'm going to get out my paints. Okay, so I'm going to start with the sky. When I do landscapes, I often start with the sky, and it kind of helps set the mood for the painting. So I'm going to use this filbert brush that comes with the set, and this color here is actually quite close to the sky already. I see it a little bit more neutralized and warmer. I'm going to try adding a touch of yellow ochre and see how that kind of creates. Well, that's too much. Yeah, I think that's going to help. And then a little bit more white, especially notice how it gets lighter over here in certain areas and towards the horizon. Not that much white though. Now, if I paint over this sailboat a bit, that's okay. I can paint the sailboat on top. Same thing here. I'm just going to cover that, and then I can paint that mast on top. So I might just leave it like this, how he's done it, where he's kind of left some parts unfinished. I think that's kind of fun. You could like pretend and go all the way to the edge if you want. So notice there's like some distinctive brush strokes within the sky. It's not like perfectly blended out smooth. So I'm going to try to get that in mind as well. Notice there's like some warmer notes where there's like a touch of this warmer red mixed in, which creates kind of like a purple effect, which I see some of that on this side as well. But I don't want to get too caught up in being a perfectionist. So see, it's kind of like a broken color effect where you're seeing multiple colors mixed in. It's not just a flat blue sky. I'm just going to ignore those people right now, go straight along the horizon, and then I can pop those colors on top. Notice it gets a little lighter and warmer over here. Maybe not that light and warm. Those strokes dried a bit darker, so I'm kind of covering them up a little bit. Okay, so that's like a good start. I could always come back later, but my goal is to kind of move fast and not get too caught up. So I'm now going to move on to the ocean. I'm going to use my round for this, and it's a really beautiful like aqua teal color. So I'm going to start with this cobalt blue, I think this is. And then I'm going to add some of the phthalo green color, which hopefully you can see. It's this one right here. And those two colors mixed create this beautiful deep green. And I don't have enough paint on my brush, so it's looking like kind of thin and transparent. So I'm going to try to scoop up some more. I could get like my palette knife out, but I can't find my palette knife. It might be a little too dark, so I could add a touch of white. Especially as it comes further over here to the right. If I get too high, that's all right. And then it gets even lighter. And this is common when you're out on the ocean and you look along the horizon, you'll see the color kind of shift as it stretches. Okay, that's too white now. And I'm kind of just letting it fade off. And adding more white down here. Okay. Then later I can add the white. Well, I may as well just do it now. So I'm going to wash my brush and get more white. And just let a tiny bit of the blue come in and kind of pop in these waves. And look at how they're done, where they just look like they're kind of done in one simple brush stroke. So I'm going to try to convey that effect as well. And while I have this white, I may as well put in this sailboat here. Then there's more like this cream color where the light's hitting it and it's warmer. And then there's like kind of like a gray white. So I'm just going to mix some of that sky blue, a little bit of that blue. It's like a bluer white. For here, the center part of the boat, can't remember what that's called. And there's a little bit of that going on over here too. Okay. Now, let's put in the sand color. So it's kind of like this color here we already have. It's like a good base at least. I'm using my flat brush now. And I'm looking at these brush strokes. I'm trying to get like kind of that thicker paint. Of course, I'm not going to be able to copy exactly how it is, but I'm still trying to just, you know, learn from him. Notice the variety of direction of strokes. Like here in the sky, it's kind of turbulent. On the ocean, it's back and forth. Here on the sand, it's pretty back and forth, but then there's some texture and some diagonals as well. So all of that is intentional. I'm going to mix up some yellow ochre and some of the sand color for back here where the sand has a bit more of that yellow color. I'm going to add a bit more white to that. I'm going to switch to this brush because I feel like I need a smaller brush to get some of those marks. I feel like there's too much water on my brush, so I'm going to try to dry that off a bit. It's kind of like wobbly here, the brush strokes. And then here it's a little bit grayed down, so I'm going to just kind of mix it in with some of this sky blue. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you guys can see my palette. I'm going to push this up a bit. Okay, too gray. Something like that, maybe. And then notice it gets a little like warmer. I'm going to add a touch of the burnt sienna with some of the sand color for some of these notes down here. And then for this sand color in here, or for where there's the sand and shadow, it's kind of purpley, so I'm gonna add a touch of this, like a alizarin crimson color, and maybe a little bit of burnt sienna, and then like a blue, maybe French ultramarine blue. And that's very purple. Now I need some more red in there. And I'm gonna add some yellow. It's pretty close. It might be a bit too vibrant. I'm gonna add some cad yellow. I don't have the right brush either. I need like a flat. Try some of this pink mixed into that. Okay, so that seems pretty good over here. And then it gets lighter. So I'm going to mix it with like this purple color already mixed. Kind of fade to like this bluey color. And then like some of this sandy yellow color kind of mixes in with it some more. You can see it's kind of layering the colors on top. Like the colors are mixing on the actual canvas, not just getting the perfect color and then laying it down, but they're kind of interacting with each other, which is awesome. Okay, then for this I do want my flat again. I kind of want to actually lay down the sand first. So what I'm going to do is mix up this sand color again. Kind of laid in thick. Notice it actually kind of comes up higher over here to the boat. Okay, and now that I have that, I'm going to try it with this round brush with this purple color. I need it to be a bit stronger. Like I need like a thicker pile mixed up in order to get that kind of texture. So I'm mixing like the purple and the yellow ochre, a little bit of this blue, a little bit of this darker blue, trying to re-get that color. Seems pretty close. So it comes from here. Mine's a little bit more of a gray blue. It wasn't didn't come out quite as nice, but that's all right. You can kind of play with it a bit, kind of. I'm gonna try again. It's too sharp. I want it to kind of like fade away as it does. And then there's like some blue kind of mixing in with this part. Same thing, I can kind of like blend it with the white a bit. Some bluer notes in here. So trying to pay attention to all these cool color notes happening. Okay. Whew. Okay, I think something to be nice would be to put in some of our darker notes to kind of anchor the painting before moving on to the sail. So I have, we have some of these darker notes here underneath the boat and around here. So I'm gonna go for that. So kind of like a dark brown, and then there's, I love those red notes. Maybe I'll do that. So, well, I'll start with the brown. So there's kind of just like burnt umber kind of color, maybe with some more blue. Mixed into it. So there's some dark, wow, it looks like black. I don't know if I want it to be quite that dark. Or if it is quite that dark. You know, I'm going to do that green next. Just kind of similar to this color here. So kind of have that color on my palette. And I'm going to add some of this blue, a touch of yellow ochre. Maybe a bit of white. Something like this like gray green. So this comes up above the horizon and above the white. So see how the brush strokes are kind of wrapping the form to shape. of the boat. We'll have this color mixed up. There's a few other spots that I see it, like right about here. I even see it kind of in the shadow. It's a little bit more turquoisey. Making up my own words, but you know what I mean. And while I have that color mixed up, same thing, I'm going to try to see some other spots that I see it. I even see this part here where it's like the green in the wave, which I brightened up my brush to like more that color, the lighter green. All right, now let's put in some of those red notes. It's like burnt sienna with a touch of this alizarin crimson. Looks pretty close. So it comes, there's like this thing happening on the side of the boat, some wood, perhaps. There's some redder notes in here. So it's just like so much color in spots that you maybe wouldn't notice so much color. Up here, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to our reddish brown. I'm going to imagine this coming through the mast. Trying to get this in just as few brush strokes as possible. Okay, now I'm gonna, where else can I place this actually while I have this color mixed? So there's this there's like kind of this blobs of color, and then there's this figure here. Maybe a bit more yellow ochre mixed in. It's like super rich and textured on the real painting. It's hard to achieve that with the gouache, kind of get such richness. I'm gonna pop in this kind of brighter orange here, and then there's something going on here. More of this bright orange for this part of the boat popping up right here. And it's really easy for things to look like really stiff and awkward, but everything is like a beautiful brush stroke made up of these really nice marks. Okay, now I'm gonna move my palette over so I have some more room to mix some colors. And I'm gonna get, I think this brush and make sure it's a bit cleaner. So notice it's like a warm, it's the color of the boat is not this pure white. I mean, the color of the mast, the sail. Sorry, the color of the sail is not this pure white, but it's not quite as warm and sandy as the sand. So this color, let's just kind of lay this on and see how that looks. That's pretty close. I feel like it's the white mixed with a touch of cad yellow will get us that like really bright but still warm effect. Maybe even a little bit more cad yellow. Ooh, not that much. I feel like that's kind of what we're going for. It's honestly, it feels like the image of this painting is a little blown out. I tried getting one where I darkened it a little bit on just editing it, but not sure if that's much more helpful. So that's why seeing these paintings in person is so great. So see how that pure white is just way too cool? So we gotta make sure we mix in some of that cad yellow to get the right color. So I'm kind of just laying down like a base. So I have something to pull from. And then I'm just like trying to adjust my shapes, looking where I can kind of improve it. And I'm going to switch to my brown. I actually put this shadow in first, so shadow is kind of warmer in some notes and then cooler with the blue. I'm going to start with like this kind of color, but add a bit of yellow ochre. I feel like it's that color. And then it gets more of the blue. Okay, now I'm going to get some more of this white mixed. So notice right here, there is like some cooler blue notes right in here. I'm kind of studying those brush strokes that are helping to explain the movement of the sail and the shape or the form of the mast and then there's like some brown kind of shadow in here, so I'm going to try to mix that up with the burnt sienna and yellow ochre colors. A little bit more burnt sienna. Some brown little outlines in here that I'm seeing. Really, some of them are really subtle. Even in like here, that kind of like warm edge. So much, you might just think like, oh, it's just this white cell, but look at, there's actually all these colors going on. And then here there's like some reddish notes. So I'm going to try to go for that now, where we have like, going to have some of this burnt sienna color mixed into the white a bit, that warm white, and kind of get some of those notes. And then it's like these blue notes are really interesting. I wonder if that's like a sky hole, or if it's just like the blue we're kind of reflecting onto the cell. There's some more of it happening in here. Little blue note there. So fascinating. Okay, now I'm going to put in, trying to move fast and not get too caught up on things. Now I'm going to put in that the mast, or the, I don't even know what you call this. When it's lower, it's called the boom. I have my little sailboat, but I'm not sure what it's called up at the top. I know that's the mast, but this part coming to the right, they don't really make sailboats like this anymore, at least that I'm aware of. So I'm trying to do this in just one brush stroke. And then it's a little too dry brushy, so I'm going to add some more thicker paint. Try it again. See how it's like irregular, like it's not perfect? That really is nice, because then it doesn't stiffen it up so much. I'm going to add some like brighter yellow in this spot here. So that's that too, kind of like noticing the variation within the value or color on it, something as well. I feel like this comes over a bit more. Okay, now I'm going to mix up this like purpley color for the shadow of that cell. So
Yes, Oksana. Sorry. I'm coming.
so this is like close to color, but I better mix it so it's not just like super watery like this. I want it to actually be like a little bit thicker. So okay, yellow ochre. Let's try this like brighter purple, which I'm not really used to. I never usually have purple like this on my palette. Let's do a little bit of blue. Can that seems like it could. I'm just gonna try adding a little bit of this lighter purple to that, because I want to lighten it and also make it be more purple. Let's try that. That seems pretty good. Something like that. I don't know. I guess in the reference, this whole mass is up higher because it's not as big. I might try to like eat into the shape a little bit. Perhaps that's better. And then as it comes further down, we can add some more sky blue. It's reflecting some of that sky blue into the shadow. So it's coming like, and maybe a little bit of yellow too. So I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue. A little bit of this cream white. Let's see how this does. Yeah, it's pretty close. I think maybe a little darker. Some of these dark purple notes. And then I'll wash my brush and get this warm white again. The cad yellow and the white. This one seems even more yellow to me. So I'm gonna pop in. So I chose this master copy because it's a little bit more simple. It's like fun shapes, fun colors, fun brush strokes. And you know, after after the portrait and the figure, thought something like this would be a little bit more of an yeah, a little bit more easier. So I hope you are enjoying it as much as I am. And then what we see is just the tiniest touch of the light hitting the very edge. Got a stray hair here. I'm gonna try to, if that happens, you can just cut it or bite it off. Okay, so we're gonna try to go really tiny here, just barely. You could always like practice this, but we're trying to get just a tiny, tiny mark. And then, since that mark got a little too thick, I can put the blue into it a little bit. And then now you just barely see it. All right. Looking pretty good. I'm gonna get some of these darks. Just gonna use this, what we mixed earlier with that like darker blue color. See how that works for this part of this boat. While I have it mixed, I'm kind of looking for other spots to kind of lay down some darker notes. I'm gonna mix up this lighter gray for this side of the boat in shadow. Just kind of like this pale green note. And then it's like a deeper blue. So I'm gonna try this. Ooh, it might be too broad, too much. We'll see. And add a touch of yellow ochre. It's these darker bits here. And then I really have no idea what's going on over here, just some dabs of color, but I'm gonna hint at it anyways. See that like warmer dark note here and here. Just lots of fun colors happening over here. So cool brush strokes and shapes. It looks like this is kind of like the feet of, there's like the shadowy bit where there's some feet. So I'm going to try to, if I think too much like feet, it won't look good. So I'm trying to not do that. Just look at those abstract shapes and try to capture them. Then I can paint the sand color back into it. Kind of get that effect. Also interesting, I don't have that shadow developed as much as it could. I think I may have painted over it a bit when I did that part, so I'm gonna pull it back again. Okay, I'm gonna mix some sky blue again down here by the horizon. A little bit bluer. To go right up against this. And to fix where I went too high. Make sure the paint's thick enough. Burnt sienna on the alizarin crimson here to get this blotch color, which I'm not sure if this is another person or what. So just kind of popping in anywhere I'm seeing more detail or colors that kind of dulled as it dried. Anything I kind of want to add in. And there's a little bit more of like this pure cobalt blue color in here. And then some ultramarine on top of it. Oh, and then you can't forget those cool aqua notes. So let's do that. Let's already have some Might need some white mixed in with that. No, it's too white. Yeah, maybe a little whiter now. That push and pull. Yeah, I think that's good. So that's right along the bottom of the boat here. And then a couple notes here. And then it's also a bit lighter. Right here. Maybe even lighter. So I kind of didn't put in that figure there, but it's all right. The horizon's still not straight and it's bothering me, so I'm just going to try to fix that real quick. I think that might be closer. I could get the ocean color again. And then clean it up this way too. A little bit more water. Okay, just I'm seeing kind of like almost like a blackish color. I'm gonna mix like a black, brown, blue for just some of these notes in here. So it's like the figure's wearing a dress, and then this is like her hat or something, and then she has like an arm coming over maybe, or maybe that's just something completely different, who knows. But I just want to get some of these different color notes that I feel like I'm missing that might help pull it together more. So there's that one, and then there's this one too. Okay. Cool. Well, let me see if there's anything else jumping out to me. I think I might call it here. So, not a perfect replica, but pretty happy with it, and I feel like I learned a lot from it. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed following along as well, and can't help myself from noticing a few touch ups that I still want to add. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this, and for your challenge, I want you to look through some books or some artists. I can even put together like a list. I know when you're starting, like you might not even know that many artists if you haven't been really into art or art history before. So I can even like make a list of some of my favorite in the info of this post. But I'll share some tips, or yeah, I'll share some artists. And then what I want you to do is find an artist that really inspires you and has something that you would love to kind of draw from in your own work, and do your own little master copy. And you can, like I said, you can set a goal. Like, what is my goal for this master copy? What am I trying to capture from it? For me, I was really trying to, get the color effect and these brush strokes, which I didn't, copy perfectly, of course. And of course, this is a painting in oil and I'm working in gouache. So if I was actually working in oils, it would be easier to do that. And so yeah, so try that out, and then yeah, do your little. You can also set a timer even if you want, where you set a timer for like 30 minutes, or maybe it's even like a smaller one and you want to go even faster, or maybe you want to do a really big master copy and really take your time getting in all to the detail and you don't have a time limit. It's totally up to you, whatever your goal may be. I forgot this like red note up here, which is a fun kind of thing to have. So I'm gonna pop it in with that bright red. So there we have it. I hope you have fun, and I hope you enjoy the prompt as well. Thank you so much for watching.